So we got to the hospital. It was a scheduled induction at 38 weeks. It was just, everything went really smoothly, hooked me up to Pitocin. We went, they put the Pitocin up as far as it would go for like the first half of the day, and I didn't have a single contraction.
Started out my shift just normal. Her labor started to progress pretty quickly right after I got on shift. She was laboring in the tub. Her pain started to get more intense. She hadn't had an epidural with like her 4 other births, and things kind of escalated quickly, and she decided that this time she wanted to get an epidural. Got her out of the tub, and at that point she was having a ton of pain. She was getting pretty anxious, and her pain had significantly increased.
And it was that walk to the bed that things got really, really intense. And the next thing, I remember having a difficult time breathing. I thought I was having an asthma attack.
I threw some oxygen on her, what I thought was just like therapeutically, and tried to coach her on her breathing, inhale, longer exhales. And maybe like about a minute later, she was still very anxious, very agitated. She kept saying, "I can't breathe." She started saying, "I can breathe in, I just can't breathe out."
I was like trying to breathe and thinking, oh, they'll figure it out. Like they'll just figure out I'm having an asthma attack or whatever. And then that's the last thing I remember.
All of a sudden she kind of like goes back, and it looked like maybe she was passing out or maybe having a seizure. We weren't 100% sure, but something was seriously wrong. About immediately after that, the baby's heart rate, Malachi's heart rate, was down into like the 60s and 70s. So it immediately, like all of the vitals and everything were normal. Baby's heart rate was normal before, and then right after that, seizure activity or her passing out, baby's heart rate kind of went down really low. We decided that it was time to go back for a C-section, and so we ran back to the OR and got there within less than a minute. She ended up having an amniotic fluid embolism, which is a really rare and can be fatal condition where amniotic fluid from baby enters into maternal circulation and can cause cardiovascular collapse and a ton of other complications. At that point, we had the whole hospital. We had nurses from SCU, from the ER. We had everybody in the room, and so they had kind of taken over Amy's care, and I was over with Malachi. At that point, I had been a nurse for a little over 3 years, I think, and I had never even seen a code at all. And then all of a sudden I see, a completely healthy mom and a completely healthy baby. And so I took a split second. It was probably literally like a second. And I just thought in my head, like, please, God, please somebody save them, like help them. And then right back to it, I was just like, okay, like what needs to be done? We had kind of at that point done what we could do at our facility. We were able to stabilize baby Malachi and, call to get him where he needed to be, which was the NICU. And then same with Amy, like we had, stabilized her enough for transport, and, then she needed to move on to, the ICU.
So she was transferred down with excellent communication with the pre-hospital folks and the transport folks to our team, which allowed us to activate the massive transfusion protocol prior to her arrival, which ensured that the intensivist was at the bedside when she initially hit the floor, but also brought all of those other ancillary groups that we needed, radiology, and of course lab, who was huge at quickly running all of those products up and down from the blood bank to the ICU. Additionally, all the other nurses that were required to be in that room, constantly stripping our drains, assisting with the massive transfusion. It's way more than any one person can do. It takes such a complex choreography of all of those individual teams to come together to make sure that we can meet the needs of a really critical patient.
There was an amazing level of care at a hospital that, this isn't a big city hospital, but the things they did were big city level. The induction was on December 7th, and I was released from the hospital on Christmas Eve, the 24th. Both Malachi and I were released just in time to get home for Christmas. They pulled out all the stops here to make it happen, and I'm very grateful. Thank you seems so inadequate, but it's all I can say. Thank you for being part of our miracle and for loving us through it and supporting us through it. My 17-year-old, Judah, is graduating high school this year, and he is pursuing a career in nursing as a result. So, super grateful, but that's how much it meant to my family, what we saw and what we received, that he wants to be able to be that to someone else.